Hey you guys, I wanted to come in with just one more short video on this topic. I was planning on going through some more articles and pointing out what they are saying is going to happen, like how they're going to bait people to adopt this kind of society. But I think you guys get the point on what they're pushing. They're going to be using fear to induce people into this mindset that we have no option but to go in this direction. Uh, I want really in this video to point out how they are attempting to target Christians and all religions, but specifically Western Christianity, where there are just millions and millions of people who go to church every Sunday and profess Christ, uh, yet they still seem to be afraid of this world and they want to fight for this world. And it seems, that they've made this world their home. And I don't know about for you guys, but for me, I am learning more and more each day that this world is not my home, that it is all vain, that it has no meaning compared to eternity. And, that doesn't mean that I'm going to just sit back and give up and be depressed and hopeless. Jesus gives me hope in this life too. I see God's goodness everywhere I look. No, it just means that my hope is not in this world. And I know you guys hear me. It's, we are promised so much more. And we are told that this earth is dying. We are told that its ways are corrupted. We can see clearly that its ways are corrupted. So yeah, I don't have any fight left in me for this world. My fight is for the sanctification of my soul and for my child's and my family in Christ, to pray for sanctification above all else, uh, and for us all to just heed the narrow path and to forsake this world, because it there's literally two ways we can go here. Usually there's a left way and a right way, and we can go straight through. But with all of this, I'm only seeing two ways, and that's either Jesus and complete faith in what he says and everything he says, or it's the world. And it seems the world is uniting together, or going to be. It's a process, it's been happening for a long time, but they are going to unite together. One thing I did want to say is the unfortunate truth that the people who have adopted these ideologies, they think they have the truth. Okay, we must recognize this, that these people are simply deceived. A lot of people, they think they're doing the right thing. I think about like doctors or scientists who develop jabs. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're doing something good for the world. And it seems for a lot of people who are wrapped up in this, it's the same thing. I do believe a lot of people have adopted this kind of ideology ignorantly. They don't even realize it's what they believe and what they've aligned themselves with. They don't believe, or they don't realize that it's a false light, that it's not of God. A lot of people will consider themselves spiritual. They believe in God, yet here they are aligning themselves with a very wicked spiritual enemy, and they just don't see it. So I want everyone to realize that, this is a result of indoctrination. I think about all throughout the Old Testament, there's several places where I think it's like throughout First Kings, where it says that their leaders caused them to sin. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. This is something that people have been just completely indoctrinated into. Our war is not with flesh and blood. This is a spiritual war. Our war is with powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. And I just want to encourage you guys that if you know anyone who has, adopted these types of beliefs, I just encourage you to love them as God loves, to be merciful and graceful. I was once, just 4 or 5 years ago, believing these kinds of things, and I easily could have walked down this path, but God was merciful and graceful and revealed the truth to me. I'm forever grateful. And I just want you guys to know that it can be done for others too. We're so quick to just want to, especially on social media, just block people and get rid of them. But we need to be loving these people, sharing the light of Christ with them, and telling them the truth. It's so important that we tell them the truth and try to help them see what God has allowed us to see. It's not because of our knowledge that we are saved. It's rather because Jesus loved us enough to lay his life down, how he felt. And, in the Garden of Gethsemane, we can clearly see that he asked our Father to take this cup from him. So he didn't care about how he felt. He still loved us enough to lay his life down for us. So, I believe, especially while we were still yet sinners, that's the most important part there. So let's love these people enough to realize that even though they are walking into a very dangerous deception, that these are still souls that can be saved. So pray without ceasing and just trust that he will lead his children to all truth, and that he may have mercy on any who reject his testimony. So, like I said, we'll go ahead and get started here. I was going to show you some more climate information, but I felt that it's most important to point out this new age deception that we can be as gods, that we can save ourselves. And it's so unfortunate because there are a lot of people I love that I see in the truth community, and they are not stupid. They have been given eyes to see, but it's like there's a wall up and a strong man that still has hold over their lives, and they cannot see just a little bit further. I'll see these people that are like, don't trust these politicians. They're not going to save us. And what I hope that some people will begin to see is that it doesn't matter if we trust these politicians. Whatever politician gets in, they want the same thing that the truth community wants. And like I'll see people say, that these politicians can't save us. We can only save ourselves. And what people don't realize is that the spiritual wickedness that's behind everything going on in our world, that's exactly what they want us to think. That we can save ourselves. Nobody's coming to help us. That only we can change the world. So I want to read this article and just point out these deceptions and, just kind of talk about what is here. And it's not as long as the last article, so I promise I won't keep you guys as long. So it's How Can We Change the World? It says, all sensible people want to live in peace, tranquility, freedom, and security. Yet why do we watch ourselves descend rapidly into the abyss of hostility and murder, tearing apart our only home, planet Earth, and condemning our children to suffering and death? Why do the majority majority of people become victims of the unhealthy ambitions of individuals whose only goals are to rule and dominate. Now you can see the truth movement kind of popping in here. And for anyone who doesn't know, I am convinced that the truth movement itself, after 15 years within it, that it is just rooted in Gnosticism. I believe it was like that from the start. And that's the entire point, is to lead people into a New Age false light. Praise God, he did use it to lead a lot of people to Christ, and I think he still will. But I do believe the majority of people in the truth movement are walking straight into Gnosticism, into the deception we are covering here. The cruel scenario of the consumerist format, there's that term again, has been implemented for 6,000 years. And I'm trusting that people are seeing what I see there. So, how can we stop the pinnacle of inhumanity and change our world for the better? In this article, you will learn the following: why it is impossible to completely eliminate wars and keep everyone safe in a consumer society, what the creative society is, why it is our only way out, and how to build it, what everyone can do already today to change our world. We will also consider the frequently asked questions that people encounter when they become acquainted with the Creative Society project. Why is there so much evil, hatred, and war in the world? Evil, hatred, and war are merely the consequence of the consumerist format of relations in society, which has existed for 6,000 years. In the consumerist format, selfishness, money, and power take precedence. Constant self-enrichment of some people at the expense of others. How ironic. This is what this creative society is. Constant self-enrichment of some people at the expense of others. Have you guys seen that Black Mirror episode where, and it reminds me of Hunger Games, where there's this rich elite community that lives above ground, but certain classes of people live underground, and all they do is like wake up and they have these screens in their faces and they pedal on these bikes, and it's almost like they're generating power or something for this community. That's what this kind of creative society makes me think of. Or, Hunger Games would be a more known example. And it's so funny because they're saying that the fall of man is where constant self-enrichment of some people at the expense of others is prevalent. But so they're talking like they're just going to overcome this this sin, and that's what I see there, that this consumer's format is sin. And it seems they think they're going to just evolve out of this self-enrichment of some people, when really what we're going to see is a society like the Black Mirror episode. Sorry, I'll try to not interject so much. So constant self-enrichment of some people at the expense of others, and incessant struggle for power exclude peace and order, contribute to poverty, hunger, diseases, and create social classes and inequality. All of this is a result of sin, not the consumerist format. So market speculation and pervasive hierarchy displace humanity, mutual help, and care. There is severe competition for resources at all levels. There doesn't have to be, which leads to their plunder and depletion. People with a selfish mindset have no concern for the future. Human life is devalued and in most cases used as cheap labor or as a military resource. There is still exploitation of child labor in the 21st century. The consumerist format, dominated by the power of the few over the majority, creates conditions that force people to survive at all costs. These inhumane conditions affect the masses, reducing their thinking to their own egos and self-care. All of this together leads to the degradation of humanity. Therefore, in order to change the world, we must change the conditions. How can we change the conditions? In order to change the conditions, we need to change the dominant format of relations in society from consumerist to a creative one. To do this, we need to build the creative society all over the world. In the creative society, the fundamental and the highest value will be the life of every human, their safety and freedom. Where did the 8 foundations of the creative society come from? For 10 years, volunteers of the Creative Society Project and participants of ALLATRA International Public Movement have been, I'll have to look that up, you guys. I haven't yet. We'll have to see what that is and who they're affiliated with. They have been conducting a large-scale survey where people from 180 countries of the world of different social statuses, religions, and nationalities have expressed their opinion about the society they would like to live in. The 8 foundations of the Creative Society were formed on the basis of these responses, the desires and needs of most people. What's that? Like material things, riches, fantasy, virtual reality, like the desires of man are corrupt. Why would it be better in a creative society? In the creative society, the highest value will be human life, and not on paper, but in reality. Everyone's basic needs will be provided for by birthright. All people will have equal rights and opportunities regardless of gender, race, or religious beliefs. They say this, but they know that Christians are not going to agree with the 8 foundations. They know a lot of people aren't. The 8 foundations of the Creative Society eliminate social tension, inequality, classes, and prejudice of any kind, including religious or racial ones, as well as enmity and division. I do not want to be united with the world, you guys. We are set apart. A healthy society can only be built by mature, understanding, and responsible people. Social stability and responsibility in practice can only be achieved under the conditions of a creative format of relationships when human life is valued above everything else. If people's mindsets change from consumerist to a creative one, this is the Great Awakening. This is that false light awakening. In that article we read last, it talked about how people wouldn't be able to doubt, and it would be through knowledge and comprehension that people, woke up. If people's mindset changes from consumers to a creative one, then the incentive and approach to the fulfillment of one's duties will change, as well as the quality and results. Any product or service, such as food, technology, education, healthcare, and so on, in the creative society will be made not for the purpose of earning capital and promoting business, but for the purpose of improving everyone's conditions of existence, thus ensuring safety and provision of vital needs. Since everyone will be financially secure from the very beginning, and creative ideology will prevail in people's minds. What is this? No one will have a desire to cheat in order to enrich themselves or profit from other people's grief to divide and conquer. So this false woke stuff they're saying is going to take away our desire to sin. And I beg to differ. That is only done through Jesus Christ. I could never, ever, ever do that on my own, no matter how woke I thought I was and how much I thought I knew. Doing good, high-quality work for the sake of people will improve not only their lives, but also provide a secure future for their children in such a society. Does anything really depend on us if there are those who decide for us? In the consumer society, the few rule over the majority. The few issue decrees that the people must obey. They promise good conditions, freedom, and safety to people, but fight only for their own power and comfortable conditions. In the creative society, there will be self-government of the people. People will not delegate power over themselves to anyone else. They will not be deprived of their own rights and freedoms. They will take responsibility onto themselves. Everyone will be able to actively participate in society's life. Everyone will have equal rights as everyone else. In the creative society, the people collectively make decisions and appoint executives to be accountable for their implementation, but not the other way around, as in the consumerist format, where people are just a cheap labor force that has to submit to the will of a few individuals who are detached from the real world. In the creative society, executives would have the same rights as any human being. If the result of the executive's activity does not satisfy society, people immediately recall the person to whom they entrusted the solution of an issue. All this is realistic to implement thanks to modern technology for instantaneous communication with the world. Electrical control, total accountability, and transparent open activities of the executives will eliminate any opportunity to usurp power. That sounds kind of sketchy. At one time, I was impressed by the video Creative Society Unites Everyone with the participation of Igor Danilov on the Allatra TV channel. After watching it, I began to ponder how a person changes when he gets to power. As I understand it, no matter how good, kind, ethical a person may originally be, when he attains power in the consumerist format of society, he finds himself in conditions where there is a gap between him and the people, causing him to lose his humaneness. I don't think that's the problem, you guys. I think that even if at the beginning a person has good intentions and a desire to do something for people in the consumerist format of relations, the leader's circle will do everything to preserve the former environment of manipulation and power over him. That reminds me of Romans 7. It's like they're taking the Bible and just creating their own doctrine. I'm not sure how to explain what I see there. As for what happens to a person when he stays in power for a longer term, we can observe this in the world history of different countries. The same processes happen to these people. As a rule, this person becomes detached from world realities, empathy, and people's pain become alien to him. His further actions totally differ and contradict his original election promises. It is precisely the conditions of society's format that must be changed in order to change the situation in the world as a whole. The condition, you guys, is sin. That is why the creative society is important, where there will be self-government of a bunch of sinners along with accountability, where no one has the right to wield power over another person. The second foundation of the creative society states, there can be no one and nothing on earth superior to a human, his freedom, and his rights. The implementation of human rights and freedoms must not violate the rights and freedoms of others. Now this part is really interesting, you guys. Let's examine this issue from the human perspective. What drives people to crime? First and foremost, hunger, need, poverty, and hardship. All of these, let's just ignore sin. All of these are problems of the consumerist format. But in the creative society, the conditions will be completely different. People will simply have neither the need nor desire to commit unlawful acts. What would motivate them to take a risk when a person lacks nothing? He lacks God. That's what will motivate him. He lacks Jesus Christ. So he has nothing. He thinks he's safe. And his rights and freedoms are observed. Peace, peace, where there is no peace. If he breaks the law, he would lose it all. By breaking the rules, putting the life and safety of even one person at risk, an offender is putting the safety of society at risk. In a society where human life is of the highest value, the punishment will be commensurate with the crime. And since in the creative society there will be self-government, everyone will be equally involved in the legislative and judicial processes and responsible for justice and transparency at all levels. Do you guys hear that? So basically, if, say, a Christian stands up and says, but the Bible says, or this is sinful, you're committing a crime because you're breaking one of the pillars, and everyone there in the society can be involved. So, yeah, you guys already know what's going to happen there. So, oh wow. Sometimes I think we're living in the Twilight Zone. It's just all a dream or a nightmare. So, how will corruption disappear? Corruption in the creative society will disappear, and that's a fact. I was convinced of this when I familiarized myself with the latest technologies of modern society. So they're bringing in technology here, you guys. I was amazed at XP NRG's latest development, the multi-purpose complex Vosk-Hod. I'm going to look that word up because I bet it's interesting. Sounds Hebrew. Hmm. The Soviet program of human spaceflight. I'm guessing this is a word they made up. Oh, sunrise. There we go. Vosk-Hod, sunrise. That's interesting. I knew there was something there. Anyways. So let's get back to this. So I'm not keeping you guys as long as I did the other night. So this is the technology of the future, the technology of the creative society. This unique development is designed to help society to counteract embezzlement, corruption, theft, shady schemes, deceit, usurpation of power, and other human vices during the transition from the consumerist format to the creative one. You can read the full description of the MPC Vosk-Hod on XP NRG website. The Vosk-Hod multipurpose complex is a global aggregate of all existing digital data and a single data processing center for both individual countries and the Commonwealth of countries. It provides openness, transparency, and accessibility of data at any level, which fully implements the fourth foundation of the creative society, transparency and openness of information for all. So I had mentioned that when we were going over the pillars in the last video. How are they going to implement this safety? Here it is. Vosk-Hod MPC detects and monitors any illegal schemes of money export, identifies weaknesses in the legislation as well as in the management and control system, and operates with accurate data on public and private capitals. It will provide transparency in the use of funds at all levels and will allow controlling all financial flows. This will completely eliminate world hunger, poverty, social injustice, and other problems of the consumerist format during the transition to the creative format. But what particularly impressed me about Vosk-Hod is it's effective in assisting humankind or an individual country in the event of an emergency in nature or the technosphere, regardless of its scale. The technosphere? Never heard that term before. And in solving the problem of mass migration of the population. Currently, this is a pressing problem in many countries of the world, including the leading ones, due to climate change. Alright, so the Creative Society idea reminds me of the idea of communism. What is the difference? Let's see how they get around this. Communism incorporated the idea of absolute equalization of all, but it is fundamentally different from the Creative Society. Yes, in the Creative Society, essential basic needs would be provided equally to everyone from birth. Everyone would have equal rights to receive a high level of education, medical care, food quality, and so on. Everyone will have everything they need to live well and comfortably. But if a person wants more than that, he will have to do more good for society. The important factor is a person's efficiency in society. People will be motivated to take responsibility, actively participate in the life of society, and make society better. The creative format ensures favorable conditions where everyone can fulfill themselves in any sphere. What are they talking about this? They keep bringing up these spheres and technospheres. Develop their talents and best qualities. At the same time, their work will be useful and necessary, and they will be able to get a decent, fair wage for it. The life of such a person will be socially important, full of meaning and value. In this case, society will evolve and living conditions of each person will improve. The idea of communism initially contained a positive motive to return power into people's hands, to create self-government, but with the preservation of the consumerist format. So because of sin, the power of the few over the majority made this impossible. They think that they're going to get rid of sin, that their Messiah is going to come back and all sin is going to go away. Oh, goodness. Moreover, it concentrated power in their hands through violence, creating a cult of the party and the leaders. So this is going to be the result, you guys, because you know that this false awakening and this Gnostic salvation is not going to take away the sin of man, that the sin was only dealt with on the cross. So here is going to be the end game and the end result of the Creative Society. Since human life is not valued in the consumerist format, the result is that millions of people were murdered while the rest were intimidated. This is a bitter lesson of the past for our generations. A healthy, civilized society will never be created through violence, terror, trampling on human freedom, disregard for human choice, or at the cost of human lives. Neither is it possible to build the Creative Society in one country and leave around it the world of consumerist format with the ideology of endless consumption and self-destruction of humanity. Only people's inner need and a personal choice of every individual to live in such a society will make it possible to build it across the world. Only when the prevailing majority of people on the planet take the responsibility, stop fighting, unite, and change the dominant format from consumers to creative, will nobody be able to usurp power, rule over us, and kill our children. That's the only way for the world to change. Wow. All right. We're almost done with this article here. How can we do this? Through a global revolution. The result of any confrontation, revolution, or war is always the same: human casualties. As it is said above, the first foundation of the Creative Society is the value of every human life. In order to build a society where people's lives will be valued and cherished in practice, it is necessary to value and cherish everyone's life already now. Building the Creative Society is only possible if it is done without pain or threat to people, meeting without breaking the law, in a peaceful way, through manipulation, through informing others, and uniting based on the best human qualities. It is not for nothing that the first three foundations of the Creative Society are life, freedom, and safety for every human. So they will declare peace and safety, and then will come sudden destruction. It's important to build, not to destroy. By building something new and better, society will gradually replace what is bad and old. When the majority of the planet's population supports the Creative Society and takes an active part in its construction, we will proceed to the second stage. Now, I really do think that it's just going to take one big event, like the earthquakes in Syria, or what we see going on with all these train derailments. Who knows? Increasing storm patterns. It's just going to take a little bit of fear to get people to adopt something like this. How shall we unite? In the video Creative Society Unites Everyone, Igor described what will make it easier for people to unite. He explained that unification is based on one idea. We unite not by means of our wallets, refrigerators, or families. It's not a financial investment, and no one should lose anything. We strive for one goal and unite around one idea. Our goal is creative society. Everyone acts in their place the best they can, using their personal skills, abilities, talents, experiences, and opportunities. Each person is unique and can make their own unique contribution to construction of creative society. One goal unites us mentally, intellectually, and spiritually. This way, society synchronizes and moves toward the goal faster. The power of unification is tremendous. Everyone's opportunities increase many times over when we are together. So I'm not going to keep on reading since we are getting pretty far in, and I want to look at a couple other things. But basically, it's just saying because we have internets and can spread news so quickly that this can spread at lightning speed. And it's just encouraging people to tell everyone that we can change the world and indoctrinate everyone into the new age. And remember what that guy said on the last video I did on how if you agree with just one of their pillars, you are already a part of their society. So, I want to play a clip real quick. Before we go on, I want to look at one more article. But I want to play a clip out of that video, and it's of this this guy that was just talking with this Russian name here. I forget what his name is. We'll find it when we get to it. And I just want you guys to hear what he says here. Just so you can understand, like, these people are going to claim to know God. They're going to claim that this is connecting us with God. But hopefully discerning Christians can see what's happening here. Sorry, I should have let this ad.
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously. Why are you not investing into one of the most...
Okay.
The time has come for us to become humans, to look at the problem reasonably, to make a mature decision, and to start saving the whole world, the way a human being should act, to take care of each and everyone, and most importantly, to take care of our planet, to take care of our home.
Okay, I'm going to pause it a few times as we go through this. It's just probably about a minute.
But we are unable to do that. We haven't been taught this. Therefore, we'll have to learn everything on our own. Yes, there will be many problems. There will be many stones on this road. But if we have a higher goal, we will traverse this road. And we shouldn't rely on anyone. Without us, yes, without you, my friend, we will not survive. That's a fact, and unfortunately already a scientific fact, a substantiated and repeatedly verified one.
Alright, what he's about to say here is the reason I'm playing the clip.
What else can be said? In such a situation, where we find ourselves as humanity, I can say just one thing. We have to trust, not even in God. After all, it's our choice. God has no right to interfere in our affairs.
Hope everybody heard that.
Yes, believers will now get indignant and say, God is almighty. Of course He's almighty. He created the entire universe. But He gave us freedom. The freedom to choose whom to serve.
And one more clip here.
Yet what have we chosen? We crucified Christ and betrayed Prophet Muhammad, the best of people. Tell me, what good have we also done for God when we do not accept His messengers? When our heart breaks and tells us what to do, while we do as the devil whispers.
I'm not sure if he says anything else. I don't remember.
Have we really been faithful to God? Have we been listening to Him? Or whom have we been listening to, friends? We shouldn't trust in God. He gave us the freedom of choice. And
So he goes to say, have we been listening to God? Who have we been listening to? And then he says we shouldn't trust in God? That He gave us the freedom of choice? Like, I hope everyone, like, the spiritual warfare behind this is just unreal. And man, I just pray that one person can see what's going on here and turn away from New Age ideology.
we chose what we chose. We can now trust only in ourselves and each other. The time has come for everyone to support everyone else, to become one big human family, to become a civilization. Our
Sorry guys, I'm just trying not to get a copyright here.
survival, friends, is in unity. Remember that. Let's just become humans, right? Everything is in our hands, and we can even save this world. We can build an Eden here.
We can build an Eden here.
We can build the creative society. We can become humans and stop betraying each other, stop killing each other. We can start taking care of each other and loving one another.
So, I know that anyone who has experienced the love of God and remembers your life before that, you will know that you cannot love outside of Christ, that we are nothing without Him. So I can't stand to hear that guy speak anymore. And I just figured I would go through this article where we left off in the last video. Because when I was looking at it the other night, it just seemed really, really interesting. And I'm not going to read it. It looks really just wicked and deceptive. And clearly it seems to be just about unification. If we take as basis the initial teaching that the prophets called for, and not the subsequent additions and amendments introduced by priests and emperors, they're talking about nowhere will we see calls for separation and enmity, for establishing a hierarchy and approving human self-exaltation. Wow. So, yeah, I just wanted to look at this site and see how they're twisting it around. And I haven't read it. You guys can go read it if you want. But, of course, they're going to add the Bible. Today, we can often hear conclusions that Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world. For millennia, Christians have been exposed to suffering, tortures, and various kinds of oppression. However, this very religion has a lot of cases when it itself became a perpetrator of brutal violence, not only against people who do not profess Christianity, but often against their Christian brothers. The topic of religious confrontation and violence touches upon a countless number of historical examples in the time of the Inquisition, Crusades, witch hunts, the St. Bartholomew's Massacre, and many others. So, yeah, this, clearly this article is just trying to unify all the religions. I'm not going to read it all, though, because I'm just not going to keep you guys forever. Maybe we can go over it in another video. Have we ever thought why in every religion we come across calls to love one another, to love all people, to forgive, and to be kind? Why was this so important to our prophets? This is a very, very, very deceptive article. Wow. So if you guys go read this, just please ask the Lord for discernment as you go into it. And I hope that you also ask the Lord for discernment, even when I'm, pointing these things out to you, because I know that it seems not everyone is seeing what I'm seeing here. So I'm just kind of praying that my viewers will be given discernment, and that this will encourage everyone to just really draw near to the Lord and truly surrender your whole life to Him. And what a verse just came to mind, and it's when Jesus says that if we don't love Him more than we love our family and our kids and, everything in this world, then we're not fit, to follow Him. And that's just what this looks like. It's like if we still have this attachment for this world, like I just imagine my son as a teenager, and how this world gets a hold of children and teens, and it's like this huge battle. We are in a constant battle. I'm constantly battling for my son, and I know a lot of other Christian parents are going through that. And it's just like I think about the time, if there will be a day that I'm faced with the decision to forsake my son because I refuse to surrender to a world like this. And I pray that's not ever the case. I pray that's not the case for anyone, but it will be. I believe there will be a time for a lot of people where we have to forsake everything in faith. So I just pray that this encourages us all to really press in and really draw near to God, to cleanse our hands and purify our hearts. And I'll probably not cover this subject anymore. I may cover, not necessarily creative society itself, but the New Age deception more, because it's just something I've been taught about a lot and had a lot revealed about. So if it, if the Lord leads me to, and if He wills for it to help anyone, then I will make more content. I may look into this Alatra TV and this Russian guy we just listened to just see who they are and see, what kind of power they have over the world right now. So I just really encourage you guys to share this with anyone who professes belief, because this will affect everyone. Like I've said before, this is a very subtle deception in most of society. It's like even in like newspapers and like horoscopes and newspapers, that is a deception. That is a way to get people to accept New Age ideology. It's even in psychology. It's taught in our colleges. It's taught in medicine. It's everywhere. Even people with good intentions, even people who, they think pharmaceuticals are poison, so they switch to natural, health or homeopathics, and next thing you know, they are wrapped up in New Age. So that's probably about it on Creative Society. I don't really care to think much else about it. I just want you guys to know what's coming and feel called to warn. My prayers are with you all. God bless.